Welcome to my first vlog. Today's topic, I guess we'll cover as a business owner, whether we should advertise on Yelp or not. I guess you could say I have a pretty good grasp, or I guess you could say perspective on how effective or ineffective Yelp can be. About, I would say, 7-8 years ago, for a martial arts studio I used to run. It was a family business. For 10 years I ran it, but then I got approached by Yelp asking whether I wanted to advertise with them. And this was still back at a time where Yelp was very popular. Everybody was using it, and they approached me with a 1-year agreement. And I guess I should say that was probably the first red flag that I should have seen right off the get-go, and really should have done a little bit more research before I jumped into an agreement, a 1-year contract with Yelp. So I believe at the time, this was back in 2010 or 11, they basically got me into an agreement for 1 year at about $250 or $300 a month. And back then, I guess the way they worked it out was where it was based off of impressions. So however many impressions that they guarantee that you would get, pretty much that's what you paid for. So it was on a pay per click or anything like that. It was just kind of, whether you drive traffic to your Yelp page or not, or whether you drive traffic to your storefront, you're paying the same price. So, I guess I could see the pros and cons in it, whereas a pay per click, if you're getting tons of clicks on a daily basis and you're paying more per click, then, I guess it's a good thing in a sense because you're getting more traffic, but on the other hand, the downside is you're paying for it. So this was, like I said, back in 2011 for a martial arts studio that it was a family business, and we were in at that time, probably our 33rd year of business. So we were well established, and it was one of those things where my dad, he never really advertised. He was old school and just threw out ads on not even ads, but it was just Yellow Pages back then. That's really all it was. And even Yellow Pages back then, I remember paying for the bill, and it was astronomical. It was like $300-400 a month, and this was already outdated by the early or 2010, and then even in the late 2000s. So it was by then internet was already popular, and it was really unnecessary to be advertising in Yellow Pages at that time. The actual book, the hard book you find at the pay phones. So I decided to try something different. At the time, I got my website up, and I was trying a lot of different marketing tactics, but that's when I guess I came across Yelp. So they talked me into it, and I guess I could say, if I were to advise anybody on whether Yelp is worth it or not, I guess it all depends. If you're a newer business and you don't have a lot of reviews to begin with, I would advise pretty much just stay away from it. And the reason why I say that is because if you're only working with, I would say, anything less than 20 or 30 reviews, I would, not necessarily that you're a new business, but you're new to Yelp. So I don't find the necessity to advertise with Yelp and, to get all those impressions, because let's say, you're people who are searching for different businesses, they keep on seeing your business, your Yelp ad pop up at the top of the searches when people are looking for restaurants or contractors, mechanics and stuff like that. But if you only have 6 reviews, it doesn't really matter, because they're just going to scroll right by you and go to the, a lot of the times people look for people with the most reviews and obviously well-reviewed businesses. So, that's probably my first tip, is to stay away from it if you don't have a lot of reviews. If you only have about 20 or 30, and then I guess you could say it's a judgment call based on your budget, whether if you should advertise with them or not. So back then, I only had legitimately, I believe it was 2 reviews at the time. So I guess it was one of those things where not a lot of people were reviewing martial arts studios, and I guess I could kind of see a reason why. I guess it's a different animal in a sense that if you join a martial arts studio, or let's say even a gym, it's one of those things where they're going to constantly see you on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. So unless you're willing to write a 5-star review just praising the company or the business, there's really no point, because, you know, if you just write a 5-star review, they're gonna see that, oh, okay, great, you know, this good loyal customer. But on the flip side, if you give them a 3-star or a 4, let's say even a 4-star, and you're still attending that gym or martial arts studio, you know, the owner, staff might look at you weird because, hey, this guy left us a 3-star review, but yet we still see him on a weekly basis. So, you know, I guess in a sense that you just don't want that backlash that you're leaving your current school negative reviews and you have to see him on a regular basis. So it's kind of biased, I guess, in a sense. But so after working with about 3 reviews, I paid for the entire year. And I guess the reason why I regretted my first year of advertising with Yelp is because I literally got no ROI. With all the impressions, if you're currently a business and you obviously have the access to the Yelp business account, then you can kind of gauge the traffic on a daily basis down to the minute, whether people are calling your business through the Yelp ad, or getting directions to your place, or clicking on your website. It all pretty much pops up in the Yelp business app. So with the $250, I believe it was $250 or $300 that I was paying at the time, you would think if I got 2 or 3 new customers through Yelp, then it would pay for itself, and anything after that was gravy. But really wasn't the case. So I don't know if it was just the timing of it or whatnot, or if the ad was ineffective, but it just didn't work out for me. And this went on for the entire year. And obviously, just like you guys know, you're stuck in a contract. If you try to get out of it, I mean, they just make it impossible. So I finished out my 1-year contract, and basically I swore to myself up and down that I would never advertise with Yelp again. So going back to whether if your business only has a few reviews, but let's say you're a business, you're a local, I don't know, let's say a restaurant or a little bakery or a cafe, and you already have 40, 50 reviews, and let's say you're sitting at a 3.5, 4-star, or even a 5-star rated business. For those kind of businesses, I would say back then, I would say it would have worked. But if we fast forward today, I'll get into it a little later, but today's Yelp model is a little bit different than how it was ran back then. But I would say in today, how Yelp works is basically they work in a pay per click. So you basically pay when customers click on your ad through that search engine, through the Yelp search engine, and basically get directed to your Yelp site. So we fast forward to last year when I decided to, once again, I guess, jump on board with Yelp, but this time it was for a different business. So it was for a car wash, actually, and it was one of those things where my budget did allow for me to kind of jump into different avenues of advertising. So I felt that, hey, you know what, it didn't work out 8 years ago, but this car wash, after I purchased the business back in January, that's a whole story for another video, but when I bought the business, I pretty much inherited a 3.5-star to begin with. So it was one of those things where, although I had 100 reviews to start with, a lot of them were negative from the previous owner and the service, and a bunch of little issues that I pretty much inherited. So I contacted Yelp myself and basically asked them, hey, what can I do? And this was before I even decided to advertise with them. So once again, they got the best salespeople. They'll pretty much smooth talk you and tell you everything you want to hear and all the different great things that Yelp can do for you. But what they were willing to do for me, which I'm sure they would have done even if I didn't advertise with them. So they actually, in good faith, they pretty much provided great service without asking me for $1 at the time. And they pretty much gave me full access, and I believe they changed a couple of other things on the account, and all I had to do was prove to them that the business was mine. I purchased it, it was under my name, so I basically just showed them some escrow documents, and pretty much that was it. So I guess we got started off on the right foot, and even though I told them that, hey, 8 years ago you guys, it was, you know, they left a bad taste in my mouth, and I just swore up and down that I would never advertise with you again. But so we fast forward till last year, and the difference between Yelp then was that you paid the same amount, $250, and it was just based off of impressions. So it wasn't one of those things where, you know, you could gauge your ROI or, you know, the effectiveness of the ads, but I guess the model that they're running today for business owners, it is a little bit different, and I think it's a lot better in a sense. So what they do is they get you with a $900 free ad credit. So basically what that does, it works on a pay per click, and if off of $900, I forgot the exact amount for price per click, but that $900 free ads did last quite a bit, and it's something you're able to gauge off of your app as well, as far as how many ad clicks you're getting on a daily basis. So I budgeted for I believe it's anywhere from $5 to $15 a day. So based off of my car wash revenue and stuff like that, I just said, all right, let's do $500 in Yelp ads. So depending on how many ads that are getting clicked on through the search engine, you basically get billed $500 when you use up all of your budget. So depending on how much traffic that you potentially want, then they do work with your budget. So I guess in a sense that it is a lot more effective and budget friendly to those, depending on the size of your business. But I figured for my car wash, if we're doing anywhere from 10 to 15,000 cars a month, $500 pretty much, I could absorb that cost of advertising really easily. And at the time when I did purchase the business, there was $0 going anywhere towards advertising. So I figured, hey, there's a lot of eyes on Yelp, even though I told myself I would never go into business with them again. I said, this time I went ahead and did so. So from advertising with Yelp, and based off the traffic of the business of my car wash, I could say that yes, I have a great return on investment. I'm able to track and gauge, and I'm basically getting anywhere from 10 to 15 customers through Yelp on a daily basis. Of course, when the weather's good. So a lot of you guys might ask, well, how you can tell the difference between whether people search or find your business through ads or just a basic search for a car wash in that particular area. So a lot of the times you're able to see what the customers are searching for when they do click on your business. So a lot of the times, if you haven't seen the app already, you'll see that it'll say, for instance, like a Yelp user with an Android device search for your business and wanted directions. So what that tells me, in a sense, is that in a city, if you need directions to a certain business, chances are you've never been there before, or you're new to the area, or you're just passing through and you want to just stop by that establishment. So the way I looked at it is I look at those kind of hits, and that tells me that this is a new customer, and it's obviously a business that I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for Yelp. I mean, chances are if they went through Google or any other search engine, I mean, they probably could have found me regardless, but guess Yelp is just another platform where it makes it easier for customers to find you. So basically for $500 a month roughly is how much I'm going through on the Yelp ads. It's working out. I mean, during the slower months, obviously the Yelp ads are my budget of $500 a month gets used up a lot slower because people really aren't searching for car washes during the wintertime and in the rain. So that's when you can really see that, you know, you're not really getting billed regardless whether your business is slow or busy and regardless of the season. So when you're paying, when you're budgeting just by how many customers or how many people are actually clicking on the sponsored ad I should say, in the search engine or the search pop-up. So my best advice is, obviously if your budget allows it, I say give it a shot. It does work, but depending on what the current state of your business is in. So if you're a smaller business and you don't have the budget for it, then I'd say hold off until you actually, you know, get creative with different forms of marketing, but definitely not Yelp. I don't think it's worth it if you're just starting out and you don't have enough reviews to back up your, you know, to pop up on that first top of the search, because people are just going to go right by you if you only have two or three reviews, regardless of how many stars. And because of, you know, the algorithm filtering out good reviews, bad reviews, and people leaving fake reviews and stuff like that. So that's just that's a whole different animal in itself that I just won't get into today. If you guys have any questions, and you know, leave some comments down below, I'll be more than happy to share or go in depth on my experiences and what I feel, what works and what doesn't work when it comes to Yelp. So I guess another huge gripe, and I guess the whole purpose of this video is to give you another perspective and let you guys know what my biggest gripe and frustrations are with Yelp as we speak today. And although it's incidents like this that make me want to quit doing business with Yelp, I guess I got to put my emotions aside and look at the big picture on, I guess, the traffic that Yelp is generating and the leads that I'm getting, you know, through the business that I'm doing with Yelp. But a huge complaint that I had a few weeks ago with Yelp was that as a car wash, we open on sunny days and we close when it rains. So I had a customer or a Yelp user come by the car wash, and that particular morning, you know, I wake up and I see a 1-star review for the customer showing up and the fact that we're not open during the hours that are posted on Yelp. And mind you, this was, I would say, about 3 weeks or a month ago, when one of the worst and wettest winters that we've had in a while, I should say. So if you're a car wash, there's no way you can change the hours based off of the weather, and if it rains, you have to put closed for that day, and if it doesn't rain, you put that it's open. So common sense would pretty much say that if it's raining, a car wash is going to be closed. So the customer left a negative 1-star review and said, "What's going on? You guys aren't open." So publicly I responded and I told them that I apologize for the fact that you got the answering machine when we called, obviously because nobody was there, and that on rainy days that we do close, and if it's forecasted in the weather to rain throughout the day, car washes close as well. So I politely responded and let this person know my apologies, and I wanted to earn her business back, and I was willing to throw in a little something for free if she came back. But main thing was I was trying to get that 1-star review down, because how I mentioned earlier, when I bought the business, I inherited a lot of negative reviews. So I kind of started from a disadvantage at that a year ago, or over a year ago. So every 1-star review, regardless of how valid or ridiculous that the review is, I mean, every 1-star review, not that I'm getting a lot of them, but this one, it pretty much just sets you back, and it does get frustrating. So long story short, even after 3 weeks later, this person decides to still leave the review up. So from the business app, you're able to flag reviews, and Yelp has their regulations and their guidelines of that people leaving reviews aren't allowed to break when they leave reviews, and some of them could be the language, or if you could show that this person wasn't a real customer, or if the review was flat out for a different business. So it goes on a case-by-case basis, but there's 7 different criteria that you could tell Yelp that, hey, this person is violating your Yelp guidelines based off of such and such reason. So in my case, I put that the review should be flagged and removed based on the fact that it didn't display a true customer experience, meaning that the customer didn't get a car wash and shouldn't be able to leave a review. So I explained to Yelp that it rained overnight, it was sprinkling in the morning, it rained overnight, and it was forecasted to rain all day as well. So due to the fact that we closed and the customer never even stepped foot on the property, that she didn't experience a car wash, or she was not a customer. So how could you guys leave a 1-star review for this on my business when the customer never washed her car at my car wash? So they responded back. Usually it takes 24 to 48 hours, and they just said that based off of her review, and even after reading my response, it always seems like it's a generic response, but they basically just said that we do not feel that it violates our content guidelines, thus we're going to leave the review active. So this pretty much pissed me off, because if that was the case, who's to stop anybody from leaving 1-star reviews because you call after hours, or on a rainy day you go around to businesses that close during the rain and you leave them a 1-star review because you got an answering machine and they were closed, so you couldn't be a customer. And I don't know, it was super frustrating. So I called back again, and I got someone on the phone, and I told them, I'm like, look, I'm a customer of yours. I'm not asking you guys to do anything from left field, but I'm just asking you guys, please, can I get a second review of this? And I think if you guys read between the lines, you guys will side with me in that this review really shouldn't stick. So they gave me a link, and I jumped back online, and I guess I went into a little bit more detail as far as why the review should have been removed. And once again, it was, hey, on a rainy day, car wash is gonna close, so there's really no reason that anybody should be able to leave any business a 1-star review if they're closed due to the weather or whatever the reason is. So they got back to me 24 hours later, and I got the same answer. They said, no, you know what, we're gonna leave the review. We don't feel like it violates the guidelines of Yelp. So, I mean, long story short, this was a huge, I guess you could say, a huge gripe that I have with Yelp, in a sense that as a business owner, Yelp pretty much survives through businesses like me that pay them for ads. and pretty much it works that way for any businesses that rely on advertising for the, for their own cash flow and for their business purposes. So I mean, if you guys jump online, there's tons of videos of business owners that are frustrated with Yelp and for various reasons, and there's even videos out there that are showing the decline of Yelp, and I could see why. The algorithm in itself, I believe I would say it's a little bit more flawed than not, because it does do a good job at filtering out good or even bad or even good reviews that really shouldn't stick. So the algorithm's there to fight fake reviews, bad or good. So I guess it goes both ways. And I mean, perhaps this is an isolated incident where this lady was able to leave a 1-star review on my car wash, even though we were closed due to the rain. But what am I gonna do? So I guess I got to look at the big picture and and take just roll with the punches. And obviously I've seen a bigger benefit from Yelp, but like I touched on before, that Yelp's value, and I guess their worth, their net worth, is plummeting, and I guess they're in trouble. So I mean, you'll see videos out there that are claiming that Yelp's gonna come to an end one day. And personally, if it does, I think it's better, because there's too many horror stories of competing businesses just leaving negative reviews on each other just to make their obviously business outshine their competitors. So even when you read a review on Google or Yelp, it's really tough to say how valid that review is. So a lot of times you look for the users that are considered elite Yelp users, and you kind of value their reviews and their opinions a little bit more than someone who just has one review, no stars, and no picture. So I mean, I get it, but the more and more incidents like this that I just went through, I know hundreds and thousands of businesses across the nation are going through the same thing and are more than frustrated. But I mean, pretty much they got me from the get-go, and the second time around I really didn't have to advertise with them. But like I said, I wasn't advertising in anything else, and this was like my 3rd or 4th month into business. So my budget did allow for me to advertise $500 roughly a month for Yelp ad clicks. And so far, I mean, it's worked out, because my employees will tell me that they see customers pulling up and they're sitting here, looking at their phones and looking up. So they know that, they definitely found us online. So I really can't knock Yelp or speak down on them for everything, but isolated incidents like this do occur and just get business owners frustrated left and right. So I guess in closing, whether you should advertise with Yelp, my answer is yes, but can just as easily be no, depending on the industry that you're in, the current state of your business, like how many reviews you have and your budget, different stuff like that. But like I said, if you have any questions, definitely shoot them out. I have a fair, decent perspective on the value that Yelp can bring to a business. So in closing, I think that if Yelp wants to continue their success, or actually get back to being successful, they were originally created to create a platform for consumers to share their opinions and their experiences. So it started off great, but it seemed as if at the beginning Yelp pretty much sided with the customers, and the old adage of customers are always right. I mean, as a business owner, I do believe that, and I do try to conduct business in that manner, that you pretty much do whatever it takes to keep that customer happy, because you want them to come back and to keep on spending money with you. But if Yelp keeps on going down this road and screwing over business owners, and as business owners, regardless of the industry, everybody talks, pretty much you're only going to have 5-star businesses that are happy with the Yelp service, and they're going to be the only ones advertising. So which is good for them, because they're 5-star restaurants and they're going to pop up at the top of the search, and customers will just perhaps just gravitate towards those businesses. But in the long end, if Yelp doesn't take care of business owners and starts shifting the balance, I guess you could say, and support, not just for the customers and holding parties for Yelp Elite members and stuff like that, I mean, I just feel that they're gonna have to do something for business owners, so that way they, they're gonna be more inclined to continue to advertise with them. So I do believe that it's a great platform, and it works out great for both consumers and business owners. But I just believe that there has to be a balance. And I personally use Yelp as well. I only really use it for restaurants and stuff like that, but I don't really, or even if you're ever looking for a special mechanic or stuff like that. But all in all, I mean, obviously I do still advertise with them, so I guess you could say that I'm a supporter, but somewhat reluctant nowadays. But we'll see how the remainder of the year goes, and down the line I'll keep you guys updated on whether I'm still with them or not. But as we speak, I guess I gotta stick it out with them for a little bit and just not let this isolated incident get me down. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll definitely do my best to continue with these videos